evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. And I just want to quickly, some of you, of course, know Suresh, but I'd just quickly like to introduce Suresh. He's going to be moderating the entire discussions this evening. And Suresh is former MD of Tata AI Life Insurance, and he has also one of the founders of Coco Insurance, which was later bought by Navi Insurance. And Suresh has extensive experience in both the BFSI as well as the FMCG sector, having played leadership roles in both the ITC Group, HDFC Life, etc. He's also currently independent director of Aviva Insurance and Principal Asset Management Group. And so, Suresh, over to you to take this evening forward and the discussions forward.
Thank you, Ipsita, and good evening, all of you. I promise this will be a very interesting discussion. I think the subject that we have chosen is very, very fascinating. It pinpoints one specific domain within the general insurance industry, broadly in terms of claims. But what I'll try and do during the course of the next 5 minutes is set the context before I invite Tapan and introduce the panel members here. The topic for discussion today is advanced digital solutions as future levers for claim transformation. And I think there has been a lot of rapid advancements in the area of claims. Now, the whole aspect of digital is being discussed at various lengths, and digital is a must-have, not a nice-to-have these days. In order to succeed, digital transformation is anchored, as all of you are aware, in three broad dimensions. One is all about customer centricity, the other is about openness to innovation, and the third is organizational flexibility. Now, digital technologies are changing the face of the business, and I can say it from practice over the last couple of years. Every single organization is looking at it very, very seriously. Digital can not only change the course of customer journey, but can offer revenue and cost benefits that are far in excess of what is envisaged by simply embarking on a mere technology journey. Now, the insurance industry is probably one of the oldest and most traditional industries, and until recently, it has been resistant to change. Now, the insurance industry, and particularly in India, is in the midst of a radical change in almost every aspect of operation, and every aspect of operation, we're looking at it digitally. Customers are embracing digital channels very, very easily. Several new technologies such as connected car, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and many more have ushered in an era of new products and built on data and analytics. Companies are using multiple digital applications in the process of either buying a policy or filing a claim and making it into a fast, simple, satisfying, and a hassle-free experience. So therefore, in terms of the agenda for today, it is imperative for general insurance companies and other companies within the ecosystem of general insurance companies in India to move quickly and integrate digital technologies into their operations. And that will be the focus of our discussion, whilst we will discuss claims, but the broader perspective is how do we embrace digital into our operations. A lot of progress is made today, and I'm sure we can learn more about the same from the distinguished panel members. Towards the same, digitizing the claims function and leveraging new technologies holds tremendous potential. Fast and efficient claims processing is paramount to success for insurance companies. We are privileged to have Tapan in our midst, and we will hear from Tapan subsequently. Automatic assessment of the damages through image analysis, much faster and more accurate, and it will become even better as the time goes on. So therefore, to capture the value of digital claims functions, claim functions must look at transformation to become a customer-centric, digitally enabled organization that excels in three foundational areas of claims, namely customer experience, efficiency, and effectiveness. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the topic for today's discussions, advanced digital solutions as future levers for claims transformation. Having set Having set the context, let me now introduce the panel of speakers we have. We have an extremely rich panel of speakers. I've taken account of most people, but nonetheless, if I miss out somebody inadvertently, please raise your hand and say my name is not taken. We have people from the insurance company. We have people from the broking fraternity. We have people from the claims ecosystem, and we have technology and digital experts today on the panel. So let me kind of take you through some of the names of the people who are already here. We have from the insurance fraternity, and I'll introduce Tapan later. We have from the insurance fraternity, Saurav Chatterjee. Now, Saurav is the president and head technology, digital sales, travel of Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company. Now, going through Saurav's profile, Saurav is a digital enthusiast and has contributed significantly to the technology transformation at Bajaj General Insurance Company. We have Anubhav Rajput. Anubhav Rajput is the CIO, head digital and operations from Cholamandalam MS General Insurance Company. Now, Anubhav is a very seasoned strategy and consulting professional in the areas of business and IT transformation, and we'll get to hear his pearls of wisdom today. Then we have, I don't know whether we have Puneet Kaur Kohli, she had confirmed. I don't think she's there on the screen. So I'll move on. Then we've got Abhijit is there. Abhijit Kedia? No, Abhijit is not there. Okay. Then we have Atul Gujarati. Now, Atul is the head of motor claims at HDFC Ergo. Has been spent close to about 17 or 18 years in HDFC Ergo. In fact, he was one of the few people who started off HDFC Chubb. Understands the dynamics of claims process well and has possibly seen both the traditional and the newer approaches in claims. So we will get to hear Atul's perspective on claims very, very vividly as we go on. And we've got Amit Bhandari. Amit Bhandari is the CTO of Magma HDI Insurance. He understands customers well, having worked through sales, risk, claims, and technology. So from the insurance fraternity, we have a very, very elite panel. From the insurance broking fraternity, we have Ashok Jain, who's the CEO of First Policy Insurance Brokers. He's a seasoned finance professional, and I'm sure he will contribute substantially towards how the broking fraternity is looking at claims and so on and so forth. We have two more illustrious people from the broking fraternity. We have Surendra Srivastava, who's the CEO of Maruti Insurance Broking, a Maruti business veteran with vintage and has served many years within Maruti. And we've got Dhananjay Acharya, who's the CTO of Aditya Birla Insurance Brokers, again a seasoned veteran, and has spent many years in the Aditya Birla Group. Now, from what I call the claims ecosystem, which means companies that deal with insurance companies but are either a leasing company or a car rental company and so on and so forth. We've got Sakshi Vij, who's the CEO of Cars on Rent. These are basically a company that looks at car rental solution. Sakshi displays expertise in travel and in transportation and understands the aspects of new business and new business development well. We have Avinash Gupte, who's from Avis. He has got over 2 decades of experience in automotive industry and financial and vehicle leasing. I don't know whether Avinash is there. Did I spot Avinash? Yeah, Avinash. Yeah, Avinash. Then we've got Kunal. Kunal is the VP Growth in Go Mechanic. It's a multi-brand car service company. Kunal heads the insurance claims business and the offline distribution business for car accessories. Now, these are the ecosystems of the insurance industry. And coming in from the technology and the digital space, we've got 2 very, very eminent people today. We've got Anand Ramakrishnan and we've got Raj Pofle. And let me introduce both of them. Anand Ramakrishnan is the CEO of MFX India and QTech System. Quess GTS, which is a part of the USD 1.5 billion Quess Corp, which is based in India and is the largest employer in the Indian private sector. It has become one of the most experienced system integrators and IT service providers in the property and casualty insurance domain, processing over 2.7 billion in-force premium and supporting core insurance applications, infrastructure, and business processes. Quess GTS is a strong player in the Indian IT industry under the brand name QTech. Quess GTS intends to bring its knowledge and experience of the insurance world from the US into the Indian insurance industry. So that's Anand Ramakrishnan for you, who's on the panel. And we have Raj Pofle, who is the founder and CEO of Claim Genius Incorporated. Claim Genius has, through the use of artificial intelligence, revolutionized the speed and efficiency of auto claims. Their patent Spending Genius suite provides insurance carriers, auto salvage firms, and recyclers with the world's first integrated AI damage estimation platform. With advanced image analysis and predictive analytics tool, insurance companies can provide instant damage estimates, processing of claims, and a whole host of things. So we have both Anand and Raj who will contribute, and we have Ganesh Natarajan, who is the founder of Calzoom Advisor, who is also an expert on the digital front. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is our strong panel. If I missed out anybody, please let me know. I mean, I will take in names.
Suresh, you missed out Anubhav Rajput, Cholamandalam.
No, I think I covered it. I covered Anubhav, but nonetheless, since you pointed out, I just want, Anubhav works with Cholamandalam MS General Insurance Company. He's a seasoned strategy consulting professional in business and IT transformation, has led many path-breaking IT technology, not just in Chola, but also his previous companies in the insurance domain. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the people who would contribute today's discussion. Whilst I don't have too many questions, and there are close to about 14, 15 participants, the large essence of the discussions would be centered around 3 points, which is digital and digital transformation within the industry and what's happening. The second would be in terms of claims and claims administration and what needs to be done within the claim. And the third would be centered around technology in terms of artificial intelligence and a whole host of other things. So my questions will be around these three broad areas. And the way I would like to conduct it before I call Tapan to give the keynote address is that I would have a panel of 4 or 5 people where I'll pose the question and they could probably give a broad perspective of those questions, and we will take it on from there. Now, let me introduce my good friend and a good friend who's been a friend of mine for quite some time. I've done multiple interviews with him in various capacities. And the last interview that I did with Tapan was when I was doing a strategic conversation with him, which was more not like a strategic conversation, but became more like a friendly conversation, but was liked by all. So today's keynote address is by Tapan Singhal. Today we have Tapan Singhal. Tapan is one of the most revered leaders in the industry who has risen through the rank and files of the organization. He has worked across the length and breadth of the country in different capacities in the general insurance domain. And many people close to him claim that again, he can feel the pulse of the GI market, of the general insurance market. One of the few leaders who has demonstrated the capability to see beyond the bend, even in very uncertain times, and successfully steered the organization with his leadership mantle. He is responsible for many path-breaking transformations in his organization and has been a thought leader in the general insurance industry. We request him to share his thoughts on advanced digital solutions as future levers for claims transformation. Over to you, Tapan.
Thank you, Suresh, for the kind words. First and foremost, I'm thinking, what am I doing here? No, all this galaxy of stars you put together, all experts in their field, and then you call me. I think it's a funny position to be in. So I have a live guy telling about claims in general insurance. Then I have all the CTOs, CIOs, and all the claims experts sitting on the other side, and we will talk about claims. I think I should be sitting and listening to everybody. That is what I feel is the right forum to be. But very, very impressed with all the galaxy of stars that we have here. So instead of getting into technicality, let me pose some questions and let us see what we have to solve in the industry, because that is what is more critical. And then we get aligned to what exactly are we doing, are we in the right path or not, and how can we make a difference? And in today's context, where do we stand? So let's look at the GI industry. It's a very funny industry. Combined ratio for the industry, I think all of us are aware, it's close to 120, 115%. And it has been there for what now close to 14 years, in a row. Nowhere in the world GI industry has had such high combined ratio, but across the world, most places you'll find the GI industry does not make much money. Either it loses money or it does not make much money. That's it. Now let's go to any common person in the street and ask him what is his opinion about the insurance company. So what do you guys would say? Well, all of you are student insurance. What does the common person say on the street? No, chor hai, claim nahi dete hain. No, ekdam matlab don't trust them at all. Now, there are two real facts. Yeah, first fact is industry is losing money 14 years in a row. Not losing money like crazy. Quite a few companies are going belly up. Solvency issues are coming through. No regulator is worried. And you would hear finance minister talk about getting more capital for the industry. It is that bad. Huh? And how do you lose money? When you're paying claims. Yeah. And here the common person says, chor hai, claim nahi dete. Like, these guys are thieves, thugs, they don't pay claims. No. Now, did we ever think that how come are we in a situation like this? Industry is paying claims to the nose. It's dying its own death paying claims. And the common person street feels the guys don't pay claim. No. Did we ever think as experts, why is it so? Why does this sound so very, very interesting to have these two dimensions in this perspective? So let me take you back to the birth of the insurance industry to understand why is it so. Insurance industry got created simply as a pool of money by many paid to somebody to pay claim to XYZ when what is written in the contract gets triggered. Yeah, a claim happens. But the onus is on this person or this company that they better verify that the claim falls within the contract and it is not a fraud. Otherwise, these guys are going to throw away public money, and nobody trusts them. So now let us say you are this person or you are this company who has got public money, and the onus is on you that whoever you pay to is genuinely a right claimant and the trigger is within the contract. So what do? Moment somebody lodges a claim, you start with distrust. So you eliminate all points which you think can go wrong before you pay the claim. Now you're doing your duty because that is what you're supposed to do. From a customer's perspective, that's the worst customer experience that you can ever get. You lodge a claim and you're paid for it, and the insurance company starts asking you, 2 बजे रात को कहां से आ रहे थे? दारू पिए थे? कौन साथ में था? कौन से पब से आ रहे थे? किस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पे हुआ? टोल बूथ का वो लाएगा बिल? You are thinking, my car has been accident. Please pay me the claim. No, finish it off. What the hell are you guys wasting time on asking the stupid questions? But we have been doing this for hundreds of years without questioning as to why we do this. And that reminds me of the very popular old story of monkeys in a room. I think all of you must have heard there was this particular poll in which banana was kept, and this is a real-time experiment, and monkeys were left. So the moment a monkey tried to catch the banana, all of them were sprayed with cold water. So the moment we tried it, others would pull the person down because they knew the moment the guy goes up, they would get sprayed with cold water. One by one, all the monkeys were replaced and the cold water spraying has stopped. Now the new bunch of monkeys had no clue why, but the moment a monkey tried to get up the banana, they should pull the person down, and they had no clue why. Yeah, we are that new bunch of monkeys in the room. We have no clue why, but we process and settle claims in that similar manner for something which was valid 100 years back. So let us say we have to solve this problem in the industry. We have to solve this problem in the industry, and we have to say that, okay, fair enough. People on the street should say, wow, it's good to be insured. These guys pay claims. They pay it super fast and they do all the right stuff. Yeah. And I have full trust on them. I just walk in and I insure and I got my claim. No, we're already paying claims. We're bleeding to death paying claims. Now, what is this gap? Why can't we do that? And the frauds, why can't it be managed in a way that the front-end customer doesn't even know that we have done all the analytics? So it's not about just payment of claims. It's just not about digitization in terms of processes in which we just look at samples of particular parts and say, okay, this is fine, this matches, this is the cost. No, it is about, can the claim be paid at a hyper speed where the customer has no friction? So let's stop here. Now let's look at how the industry around us is evolving. Let's look at how the industry in terms of what's happening. Let's look at the Amazons, Flipkarts of the world. Let's look at the Ubers, and the Olas of the world. And let's look at these. What have they done in their experience management for the customer? Immediate gratification, complete frictionless, and customer service to the level. And now all these are stories, where the front end, the first guy who picks up the call is able to, sort it out completely. Even be it a return or there's a very popular story about this particular lady who was to buy computer parts, which is only sold online, but she didn't have a online computer. She would call up and buy those parts. And then this company actually sends a computer over for her so she could do the shopping. That's a different thing. They got huge mileage on that. But customer behavior is changing and expectation is changing to this level. So one, we have a problem where we start looking at claims with distrust. Second, the industry around us where the customer interacting is changing to a complete frictionless environment where it is just now immediate gratification, immediate satisfaction. That is the second data point that would want you to have. Third point is when Suresh mentioned the resistance of change of GI industry for tech. Now, there also I have an interesting story to talk about. No, it is not resistance change. So I asked a lot of people this question. Let's say you're an IT guy, and you're, let's say, the TCS or the Infosys or the IBMs of the world, or you are, whoever, a big guy in the IT industry. So where would you go and try and innovate and give solutions to? Which industry would you go? Industries which has done some money to offer you. Like if I'm a sales guy, I'm not going to go to an industry which is bleeding to death and there's hardly any money to pay. The moment I go to them, they start negotiating. No, I say 100 crores, they say ki 50 lakh mein karoge kya? No. That is how the discussion starts. So if you look at all the innovations, which if you look at banking is the one which people talk about, happen in industries where they had huge margins, in terms of profit. And to be fair, that is where the tech team actually went. Now, after that was exhausted as a profit pool for them, then they come to industries which don't have much margins, and that is where the general insurance industry comes to picture. So it's a natural flow. Now you put these three data points together, and the fourth one is again a very interesting thing: the culture of startup. I love this. I think Ganesh now also, he's leading so many startups and is doing that. And Suresh, we heard him. I love this culture of startup. So we have a lot of brilliant young minds which are trying to solve issues. So what is the first thing we teach the startup guys? Let's say somebody comes to us for mentorship. What startup we should do? Say identify where is thick margin, where is inefficiency, and crack that, and you will make your $1 billion unicorn. I think that is the first thing that we teach any startup. Now with these 4 points, put it together, and the magic moment has arrived. You have this brilliant boys and girls who are trying to solve an industry issue. You have the IT companies now showing keen interest into the general insurance world. You have this consumer who wants things right now and has no patience for your lengthy discussion about where it was he or she at 2 in the night and what did the car meet an accident. They have no patience. Those days are gone where you sit together, have conversation for hours together. Now, right now is right now, please. What is it? Yes, no, that's it. And we are industry which realizes that this is not the way you can build a real great industry in which you start with distrust. Look at customers now. Put all this thing together and you have all the tools right now. I think we have heard about, and a lot of our companies do this. We use this blockchain, the web aggregator and the flight aggregator to pay claims for flight delay, even if the customer knows it. I think most of you know this by now. I think this is being done by most companies. I think we are one of the first to do it also. So you have this trip delay claim. So a trip delay happens and we already have the data come to us and you offer the customer claim on by message and the customer not even lodge a claim. Or you have this automobile claims now, accident happens, click pictures, upload, and 10 minutes time, the money gets settled. I think we're already reaching there. Can we look at all the claims complete frictionless? Frictionless, not even 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. Can the car itself tell what damage has happened? Do you think the time is right for that? So we're still talking of car claims where customer gets down, click pictures, uploads, and 10 minutes time settle claim, and we say, wow, man, we are arrived. We are arrived. We can sell car claim in 10 minutes time. And you know why is this excitement? Because in the year 2000, which is just about 20 years back, if you had a car claim, and I think most of you are young, but I think Ganesh should remember, Suresh should remember, if you had a car claim, and you got a claim in 4 months' time, you were super excited. And that 4 months also, you had to carry the bumper, headlights to the insurance company's office, and there would be a claim clerk who would tally the photograph and the bumper and headlight in the office, and then you have to settle, go and deposit in a salvage office, and then you claim it was in 4 months' time. You got a car claim and you're super happy. Today in 10 minutes, and I'm still not happy. Because now, when I look at my new cars, the cars that I buy, they're super intelligent. The car can itself send me data, but what has got lost. And I have Surinder here from the OEM. Why is Surinder not doing this? Why does he still want to do cashless in his dealership? Why can't Surinder tell the car to tell me how much I have to pay Surinder, or the owner of that car? Why are you not going there? What is it? We are happy with incremental stuff. We're happy with this stuff. We're not really looking at how tech is moving. I mean, startups also, we're still looking at the section in which we are talking and very happy. 10 minutes now Saurav will say, boss, 4 minutes, to hell with it. As a customer, 4 minutes has no relevance for me. Frictionless right now, 0 minute. Just get it done for me. Yeah? Get it done for me. I think that time has come. Tech is there, investment is there, startup is there. I think I don't want to take much of your time. I just wanted you to know, just instigate these thoughts in you, put in this 4 or 5 scenarios which we are combined together. You are brilliant minds. Let's transform the industry. Let India be the first in the GI world to transform it. And if you think it's a problem of India, let me again give this answer. It's a very funny incident which I had. When we were setting up Bajaj Allianz in the year 2001, I clearly remember my German friend was there. I was sitting with him and I was telling him over a couple of drinks that, look here, in India, joining insurance industry is pretty bad. When I joined, my mother was crying and she felt her son has become completely useless because useless fellows, good for nothing, join insurance industry here. So he laughed. He said, no, in Germany it's very different. When you're useless, you become a bartender. When you fail as a bartender, you join an insurance company. So I think the scenario is the same across the world. Can we, as India, lead and do this transformation, create this frictionless experience for the customer, and use our brain beyond incremental thinking, use tech and the brilliant minds to come out with solutions that nobody is thinking about, and transform the way people do the industry. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much. We'll be happy to take any question from any one of you. It's a pleasure being here, as usual. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Tapan. That was very typical of Tapan. Give him 15 minutes, he'll condense it to 15 minutes. Give him 5 minutes, he'll speak 5 minutes, but always hit the bullet the way it should be hit. Very, very interesting that you've combined 3 or 4 dimensions of IT, consumer, industry, distress, and all kind of putting it together in terms of creating enabling. And I think Tapan is one of the, and I say it not because I know Tapan, because I know Tapan in the course of his interviews and his statements has been one of the champions of wanting change in the general insurance industry. And it's very credible that the language that he speaks is one of change. And I think these are powerful messages coming from you, Tapan. And I think if you have the luxury of time, if you can stay on, probably they'll be more interesting, but feel free. But thank you so much, Tapan, for taking time and sharing your views. Thank you so much. Ganesh, you want to say something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, Tapan, because in fact, our latest book that's come out by Bloomsbury is all about what you just said, that digital is technology, but it's a question of understanding the new processes. I mean, you talked eloquently about the old monkeys, or new monkeys doing the old things. But how do you really re-engineer processes, use data and analytics, and most important, I think, culture and leadership. And I've always been a fan of Bajaj Finserv and specifically Bajaj Magic and General Insurance, because the kind of leadership you people give is amazing. And I think if more CEOs could help CIOs to be successful by seeing the vision along with them, I think it's amazing. So first of all, thank you very much for coming at very short notice. I know I called you just last week, but it's really nice of you to reorganize your schedule, and always perpetually grateful to have you as a friend of ours. Thank you.
It's my honor, boss. I think I'll never say no to you. And April is the wrong time to hold such conferences. We have a board meeting come through. We have all this appraisals and promotions and everything going together. So I think somewhere in the second week of May, hold it, boss. That's why then you'll have a lot more time from all of us here. But thank you. It's such an honor being here. So thank you very much. We'll take leave. Thank you.
Thanks, Tapan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I'll carry on with our discussions, and I'll start posing the 3 questions. And the first question is all about transformation, the pace of digital transformation, what is the ground reality, and so on and so forth. Just to set the context before I invite few people to give their views, COVID-19 crisis has brought a new urgency to some of corporate India's long-standing challenges, and more so, like I said, in the insurance industry. So far, technology has always been an enabler for business for most insurers. However, I feel increasingly insurers will have to make some critical technology choices that have a lasting impact on how they conduct business and how they are set up in the long run. I think setting up the next generation tech function is probably a critical success factor for insurers and the ecosystem within the insurance company. I'm not going to go into more details in terms of what we need to look at and so on and so forth. But the question that I would like to now pose to Anand, Dhananjay, Avinash, and Sakshi, and also to Mr. Ashok Jain, is that the pandemic is supposed to have accelerated the pace of digital transformation. That is what we believe. But I would like to have your perspectives in terms of what is the ground reality? Is it happening, not happening? How are organizations thinking? What are the kind of changes that boards are considering in terms of those technology changes and so on and so forth? So let's start out with Anand. Anand will be nice since you carry a huge responsibility and you have seen the changes in the digital transformation and transformation in general from where you come from. So can we have your perspective first, and then we'll go to the other panel members. If you could keep the entire interaction brief, because we have to cover a lot of ground. There are 15 of us here. So Anand, over to you.
Thanks, Suresh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Suresh. Just to give a very brief answer to your question, I would split it into two parts. One is the operational digital transformation, and the other is the strategic digital transformation, keeping in mind the insurance industry, of course. If I look at it operationally, I think most organizations were already on the digital path even before the pandemic. Maybe it has accelerated it a bit. For example, most companies were looking at bots. Most of them were doing churn analytics and all kinds of analytics. There was a lot of WhatsApp-related activity that was happening. So I don't think, from a digital perspective, operationally, it came suddenly. My feeling is that most companies were already on that path. Maybe it's accelerated a bit. For example, there's a Dutch insurance company that does its business completely on Facebook today. So you start with Facebook, and you log into Facebook, give the account, and then they interact with you completely on Facebook. So those kind of things I think have got accelerated because of the pandemic, but operationally, I felt most organizations were already on that path. But strategically, and going to Tapan's specific point of frictionless, I think that's where the story lies. Because from a strategy perspective, and I'd like to count them out in terms of what are the four strategies that we are seeing from a transformation perspective. One is in terms of telematics. I think from an auto industry standpoint, I think telematics has really taken a massive step forward. And again, to paraphrase Tapan, nobody wants to be asked, where were you at 2 o'clock? As long as the car, it gives that information back to the insurer, and the insurer knows the driver and knows the kind of driving the driver was doing when the accident happened. I think, all of that information today can come from the car or the vehicle to the insurer. So telematics is one area that I am seeing a lot more activity. The second is more in terms of assessment. While it's not so prevalent in India, maybe because of the laws, I think the usage of drones will again be a fairly strategic action. If you look at the US, Farmers Insurance is already doing it. They use drones to assess the loss of property from an insurance perspective. So I think that's the second area. The third one is wearables. Again, from an auto insurance standpoint or a health insurance standpoint, there are a lot of insurance companies that are using wearables to see how the driver is and whether he has, proper health and whether he's doing the steps a day and so on. Of course, everything with the permission of the insured person. again, there is a company called Aetna Insurance, which actually does the entire insurance based on the Apple iWatch data that they get from the person who's insured. So that's the third. And fourth is what we would probably also speak about, and Raj would speak about, which is about the use of artificial intelligence, which makes it completely frictionless from a claims processing perspective. So in my view, these four strategies from a digital transformation standpoint will probably go back to what Tapan was saying, to make it more frictionless, more immediate, and more on the spot, instantaneous. While on the operational side, my guess is, and I would love to hear from the others, because mine is more an IT view than a practitioner view. So I'm not the expert from a practitioner perspective, but I think most of them are already on the path from a digital automation perspective, from an operational standpoint, Suresh. So I'll keep quiet now and wait to hear from the others, and learn from the others as well.
No, Anand, you make some very interesting observations, because talking about drones, wearables, frictionless, I mean, these are, or telematics for that matter, are things still that needs to fully get evolved from an Indian insurance perspective. I'm aware that I had presented a paper on telematics to the insurance regulator, and they were looking at multiple data points and so on and so forth. So very clearly, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that there are progressive discussions on use of technology, and it's just a matter of time that organizations will start. But heartening to note from your perspective that operationally there are substantial changes that are already happening, notwithstanding the pandemic, and that is possibly a very good sign. So I now move to Dhananjay from Aditya Birla. And Dhananjay, your views on the pandemic. Has it accelerated the pace of digital? What is the ground reality from your perspective?
Yeah, thanks, Suresh. So I'll agree with Anand that we have not experienced much challenge into operational, because our personal line of business, we were quite ready. In fact, we have been doing the digital services since quite a few years. That's why I think we were quite equipped in operationally as far as a customer and the channel partner perspective, as well as on the operational side, even though for the back office work as well. So I think that was quite a good thing. Yes, of course, there was some challenges where the market practice is not completely into digital payment or so. It was not completely institutionalized. I think pandemic has helped in making it, increasing the digital payments and all, whereby we were well equipped on that, and our mobile app and all anyway in time really helped us, right? So I would not say it was a much of the challenge as such. I think we continued our business even during the pandemic. I think some of the focus areas, just to picking up from Anand what said, definitely those are the one. Telematics is the one which is a focus areas, but at the same time, I think on the service side, the claims automation is our primary focus area these days. We already implemented the AI-based image analytics and all that, right? Remote surveying and all. But I would just trace upon it because I'm coming from on the broker side, right? And the broker side, when we are dealing with almost all the insurers, the partners, and the kind of the challenge anyway need to be addressed on the standardizing of the data. Now, how are we just channelizing the data, exchanging the data? I think that's somewhere we need to, as an industry, need to focus upon, because till the time it is not happening, because while the intermediary who are anyway front ending to the customer, and I think it's very, very important to see that we are completely authenticity of the data flowing around from the multiple parties. It's very important. So we are working towards it. I think as our forte is more onto OEM programs and all. So we anyway taken the initiative in standardizing across, working with all our partners, and definitely the good support from all across. So that is the one area that I would add to what Anand has said. Yeah.
Okay. So I think your larger concern is because you deal with many insurance companies. If there was a key area in terms of looking at standardization and whether leveraging technology to try and keep the hassle-free less, that would go a long way in kind of improving the efficiencies from your perspective, more so from a claims perspective. Interesting. So can I now, I'm sorry for kind of, pushing my way along is because we have a large panel of speakers, and so please bear with me. I'm trying to do a summary of each conversation and move on to the next. Now I want to hear from Avinash from Avis, your perspective on the same question in terms of what is the ground reality, what has happened in Avis, how are your interactions with the larger insurance fraternity, and what are some of the things that you're seeing, not just in your organization, but also in the larger insurance space.
Yeah. So hi everyone. So can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, Avinash.
All right. So I'll try and keep it very crisp. So as far as Avis is concerned, obviously we were always on the path of digital journey. So the pandemic has not really impacted us from that perspective because we were able to switch practically overnight. So I wouldn't say that pandemic has really accelerated something internally in terms of digital journey, but it was always been there. As Anand mentioned, I think that's probably true for all our companies and organizations. And what has in fact happened for us is we have actually accelerated in terms of new product launches, and that is exactly what we have gone ahead and done that. So we took this as an opportunity to relook. We took this opportunity to see what new business models are evolving and what is it that we need to do. So in a short span of 6 months, we actually launched 3 products as against what we had really planned it for launching in the next 2 years. So that is something which we were able to achieve. So having said that, coming to the insurance claims perspective, I mean, obviously we as customers are engaged with different insurance companies, and we in turn give our services to our customers, which is the corporates. Now, one important thing that we do not face with any insurance company is the element of distrust. Right. So whatever we lodge, whatever we claim, there is always an element of trust in it, and complete accuracy of information is there. So therefore, we have seen a huge difference over the last, I would say, 20 years in terms of the way the claims have been settled. Now, as Tapan mentioned, coming from 4 months, of course, we were not there when it was 4 months. I mean, I had some personal experiences, but that's different. From a company standpoint, yes, from weeks it has come to days, and now from days it has come to today, tomorrow, and that also includes claims like total loss and theft, which is really remarkable. So, frankly speaking, thanks to all of you, in the panel and the kind of efforts that you have put in to do whatever you have done over a period of years. I mean, that is what is the benefit that we can definitely see. So once the element of distrust is taken out, then everything becomes very simple. It can be made as fast, and if we want to see the money in 10 minutes, I'm sure it's possible. The problem doesn't stop there. The problem of what we face is where the physical part comes in. So in a few months in the pandemic, the physical part was completely taken out, which means nobody can go near the vehicle. The customer doesn't want to be in the vehicle. The documentation does not have to be physically verified. So how do you do all these things in a contactless manner? How do you do these things without a physical presence? How do you do these things in a so-called digital way? And that's exactly what we have been pushing for with every insurance partner that we've been working over a period of several years now. And sometimes they accept, sometimes they don't, but then we have our own way of getting things done. But having said that, we still find that as a big friction point where the physical still needs to be there. For instance, you still need a physical photograph of the event. Great. You need a physical document to be verified. Today, everything is online verification, right? Be it a driving license or an RC or whatever you say. Now, the customer has to make a trip to show it to the surveyor. Why? Right? Now, somehow the original bills in physical form have to come, right? The toll receipt that Tapan mentioned is still asked. Now, a digital toll receipt is not accepted. A physical document is still required. Why? Right? Now, India is one of the first countries in the world to have actually passed that an email or a digital communication is a legally valid communication. But unfortunately, this has somehow not been implemented, not been accepted. Now, you look at it from our perspective that if the element of trust is always there, now each and every document, each and every communication can easily come in a digital way, but still signatures are required for further processing, and that kind of puts a spanner in the whole experience of this so-called tech-driven claim settlement process, right? So that's one challenge which we definitely feel, and that instead of being built by an insurance broker or an insurance company, that is something that we have to do at our end to make things simpler and easier. So probably in the last few months from the pandemic perspective, so this part is something that we always had it in mind, but we kind of, yes, had to push it through, make sure it is in place, and things get done. And there's some interesting stories that we did in the last few months, but I wouldn't want to bore you with those ones, how we managed to do what we did. But yeah, so that was the physical part had to be brought into the digital space very quickly, and that is where we face the challenge. So I'll rest my point here.
No, thanks, Avinash. I think my takeaway from what you said is that whilst we are still talking technology, there is still a lot of physical dimensions to the entire operative process, even so in claims. And therefore, what are the elements that we need to do to make it frictionless is still a work in progress. And when I go to the next question with the other set of people who are experts in claims, probably some of your questions may be answered. So park your thoughts in terms of how do we make it frictionless? How do we move from less paper to more digital? And what are some of the changes that are happening in the process? Will be the next round of questions that I'll ask some of the claims expert from the general insurance industry. But thank you, thank you, Avinash. Yeah. Sakshi, your views, please.
Hi, I'd just like to clarify. You mentioned that I was the CEO of Cars of Rent. I am not the CEO. I'm a director of Cars of Rent, but I am the founder of Miles, which has been a part of Cars of Rent as well. But the reason why I think that's also important to mention is as my experience goes and the experience of the organizations that I've been part of. We've been in the business of making car ownership or vehicle ownership frictionless from the word go, whether it is car rentals, chauffeur drives, corporate movements, self-drive, car sharing, or car subscription, which is the newest product that we do out of Miles. The idea, therefore, has at all times been to be able to work with stakeholders in the entire vehicle ownership journey for a customer and to make the experience of the customer a lot more easier. When I look at what has been happening since the time we started out and how the insurance sector has either evolved or stayed where it is, as some of the speakers before me have mentioned. I think, as Anand had rightly mentioned, operationally there's a lot that has happened already, barring the fact that in a lot of cases, while there is talk about AI technologies being handed over to the customers for them to be able to verify and put in claims, I don't think that's a ground reality at this point in time. However, from our perspective, what's most important is that the customer today in a not very well penetrated insurance market as India is still looking at a sort of price benefit to what they're really going to be purchasing in insurance. What companies and brands like us are doing is to be able to implement technology within the vehicles to be able to give significant data to insurance, to the insurance sector and to the other stakeholders in that end as well. So we, in fact, do a lot of pre-work in terms of verifying the customer, having all the documents, already uploaded in the system, et cetera, along with also giving all the relevant information as far as the vehicle is concerned. One of the aspects that I think is therefore very relevant from the insurance sector perspective is how do we make this a lot more customizable from an individual perspective. So we are providing, for example, subscription makes it possible for a person to not even go for a loan for a vehicle and really decide their monthly payment of monthly budget of owning a car, which includes insurance, maintenance, EMIs, everything. But if I were to be able to provide them an option that bases your insurance history, I will be able to progressively either improve or deteriorate the quality of insurance product or the cost of insurance product that you will have available. Then that's an aspect that I think we should touch about, which is commonly known as user-based insurance or user-specific insurance that is yet to, I think, take shape in the country. On the self-drive part, we have seen that while globally self-drive, rentals and the insurance sector along with self-drive is a hugely flourishing partnership and a great friendship globally. I think there's still a lot of change that needs to be done, a lot of evolution of the product that needs to be done on per day insurances or per trip insurances that customers really need to opt in for, and thereby making the average price of usage a lot more economical for users. So that's something I'd like to touch upon.
Thank you, Sakshi. I think you brought a very interesting point in terms of looking at product solutions, and not looking at one year insurance products versus bite type insurance products from a perspective. And I guess with a lot of these technology interventions, insurance companies can look at some of these products. The regulator itself is thinking of products of this nature. So there will be a time very soon when some of the solutions that you require in terms of per day insurance, driving experience insurance, and so on and so will become an order of the day. Okay, the last person on the first question, and I need to move a little quickly. And can I ask Mr. Ashok Jain, CEO of First Policy Insurance Brokers, quickly to give your perspective on what's happened in the broking space? So we've heard another gentleman from the same. What exactly has happened in your broking space, sir?
Good evening. One question, possibly general insurance is not one industry, it's actually multiple industry rolled into one.
That's right.
So motor claim is totally different, which is a completely retail claim, from health claim, which could be also a retail claim, but it's a totally different animal altogether. And when you come to a corporate claim, when let's say somebody has a 10 crore rupees loss or 50 crore rupees loss, it's a different ballgame altogether. So these are three different segments within the industry. Now, my company doesn't do much of motor, so we won't understand much about motor, but on health side, we keep a lot of claims, and health so far we have not talked much. So one thing which we have generally seen is that customers are at last point unhappy in the hospital because it takes few hours for hospital to get approval from TPA, and the person is stuck after he wants to go home after the treatment, but he's stuck in the hospital for 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. Now it's quite different than 10-minute motor claim. These two are two different situations completely. And one reason why this is happening is that hospital system is not talking to TPA system. It's all either emails or physical mails or physical documents. There's a big opportunity for insurers to cut down the cost of even claims and make customer happy simultaneously. Of course, there are other challenges for insurers that some of the hospital, at times they are not overcharged. Basically, insurance company, if insurance company is not careful on that.
Sure.
But at the same time, what we saw, TPAs have not insisted on signature, as another speaker spoke earlier. We are getting all the claims at this moment. Clients are just sending at times on WhatsApp, at times on whichever way they are sending the document on email, and those documents are sent to TPA, and TPAs are paying claims without insisting on physical documents. So customers have been serviced in this pandemic or last 1 year. Even we did not see each other. Physical documents did not come. Customers did get their claim, and we did not see any deterioration in the service levels. But there's a big opportunity still on health claims. As regard commercial line claims, large value claims can happen in marine, fire, engineering. They obviously, by definition, are complex claims, and at times, insured itself cannot file a claim unless he repairs the stuff or replaces the stuff. But we think there is a lot to be done in that area also. Suppose today it takes a year to settle a claim or 2 years to settle the claim, still we can go down to maybe a few months, basically, if not little faster. So we think forward this will happen.
No, I quite agree that whilst we are not broadly covering Mr. Ashok Jain on claims from a health perspective, I am aware of the fact that that is a large area that needs a lot of work, and because of the huge network of hospitals and the TPAs and the various invoices and the bills and so on and so forth. So that maybe that's another round of discussion we will have pretty soon on claims with relevance to health. And I think it's a subject by itself. So I understand where you're coming from, for sure. So gentlemen,
just to add, size-wise, health claims are going to be as much as motor claims.
I agree.
It's just a matter of time. Health is going to be as big line. It's just touching now motor.
I agree. So we've kind of got a broad overview of what kind of changes have actually happened, either because of the pandemic or not because of the pandemic, largely essentially saying that companies have done a lot, substantial works from an operational standpoint. There are still lots of work to be done from a solutioning standpoint. There are still a lot of works to be done from a hassle-free standpoint, and so on and so forth. But it's suffice to say that good progress has been made, and the embracing of technology and the use of technology is being understood and being adapted pretty well, which now goes to the core of our discussion in terms of moving away from transformation to looking at specifics in terms of what is all this animal about claims and claims processes and customer centricity around claims, and what are the tools that can be used around claims, and what is the ground reality, the number of claims that happen from a general insurance industry, which virtually survives because it is on largely handling claims, right? So management of claims is significant in delivering customer experience as well as delivering operational excellence. Companies and experts have been discussing transformation of claims through technology for some time. What's the ground reality? How are organizations transform the claims process? Because it's important for people to understand that successful digital transformation in claims begin with developing a new value proposition that sets high-level aspirations and purchasing an end-to-end digitization of claims in the entire customer journey, which is what some of you articulated in the first round of questions. The value proposition needs to address customer experience excellence, analytics-driven handling of and automation, and claims prevention services. These are critical points, and gone are those days. Inspections are often the very first step of car insurance claims process. With deep learning, we can automatically detect scratches, dents, rust, breakages. The vehicle can be automatically inspected using images. So there are many things that are happening using AI technology to allow carriers to make instant decisions of total loss, estimates based on photos. So there's a whole gamut of things that are being adopted by different insurance companies in various different ways. So to kind of take this question forward, may I invite, I think we'll get Anubhav in first to talk about it in terms of, we'll get Anubhav, we'll get Surendra Srivastava from Maruti, we'll get Kunal from Go Mechanic, and we'll get Atul, who's our domain claims expert, to talk about some of these aspects. So the question is, what is management of claims? How is management of claims delivering customer experience as well as delivering operational excellence? And what is the ground reality? How are organizations transforming the claims process? So Anubhav, can we have you first give your perspective? I do know you've done some significant work in this area, and it'll be worthwhile for you to share your experience.
Sure, thanks, Suresh. So let me first start by painting the overall canvas and the context, right? So building on to the points that Tapan had made, I think one important point for all of us to understand is whenever a survey of customer experience or the customer aspect is done for insurance, one feedback which consistently comes from all customer segments, irrespective of the product, is that the basic expectation from the insurer is that please work at my moment of requirement, which is a claim incident time. So please do not contact me, do not communicate, do not over communicate. As long as you work and provide me the services and support at the time of my claim experience, that is the only expectation that customers have from an insurer. And for a very significant time, this is an area where insurers have been focusing on transformation through either operating model or cost efficiencies or tightening the claim adjudication rules, reputation rules, so on and so forth. In the last few years, what I've been witnessing is that all across the segment, when I say across the segment, because someone just mentioned a very valid point that general insurance is actually a multitude of companies, but not only a single organization. So across the product segment, across the lines of businesses, the claim experience, both in terms of the ability to quickly take a decision, B, take the correct decision, and C, have a very innate and obtrusive ability to identify a fraud and flag it immediately and appropriately. These are the areas which technology is being leveraged and put to use by a lot of companies, and we are no different. So we are trying to solve exactly the same problem. And when it comes to claims, so while we have all been talking about the front end of the claim, which is the claim origination part, or the FNOL part, as people call it, where a claim is notified and then it is processed, I think what we have been focusing on is complete digitization of the end-to-end process of claim management. Let me take an example of motor claim. So not only at the time when a customer intimates us that there is a claim, or a photograph or a video is sent. In fact, we have partnered with Claim Genius to look at AI-based capabilities for claim automation, the ability to detect repair and replace kind of scenarios for different parts, critical parts, and of course identify total losses. What is also required is that while this decision is taken by an AI model, which has been trained with data of several years, the decision comes quickly. The entire workflow, which makes the entire experience frictionless for customer, right from submitting the claim to the same actually getting assessed by an AI model, to the same being made available for a claim assessor to review in case of any discrepancy or any final actions. And finally, once the entire claim is processed, approved, and the invoice comes from the garage, whether from a network or not from the network, even the automation of that invoice using AI techniques of document management, or OCR, is something which completes the digitization of the entire chain. And that is exactly what we at Chola have been working on. Of course, there is more work to do. There is more optimization required in terms of productivity and everything. But I think that's the direction that we'll take. And the idea is very simple. As the frontline will grow, as more customers are onboarded, as more vehicles are there, and we are still a bit far away from moving towards purely parameterized motor insurance. While IRD is trying to come out with innovative areas, innovative product offering, but we are still a bit far away from purely parameterized products. The pure automation and opportunity that lies for insurers is to digitize this entire process end to end and make it absolutely a wow customer experience and completely predictable. A similar thing is being done in case of health claims also. The question is very simple there also. Whether a claim is admissible, yes or no. And if admissible, then what is the amount that can be sort of approved or adjudicated for? So those are the areas, once again, where digitization and core AI-based techniques and technologies comes in, and the ability to make it very frictionless for the customers is the key. I personally think that the one technology which is still not in the foray of this entire mix is IoT and pure play computer vision in the form of IoT. And I think that is something which will become a lot more forefront in the next 1 or 2 years as edge computing starts becoming mainstream. Because for the experience of leveraging IoT on almost a real time or near real time, it has to go through the conduit of an edge computing model, which is still not very, very verbalized, which is still not very, very commercialized at this moment, and it is coming up. So as that comes up the curve, I think with IoT and edge computing coming into the fray, the current capability of processing claims within a few hours will actually start coming down to a few minutes, and that is how the maturity will happen.
Terrific. Anubhav, so that's kind of very crisp, very nice. So basically end-to-end and look at newer forms of IoT and edge communication, OCRs. So a lot of progress is actually made is what you're saying, and companies are leveraging that change very, very effectively. Interesting. I would like to invite Saurav. In fact, we've heard from Chola. I think let's hear from Bajaj, and then we'll go to HDFC after that. And what has been your own experience, Saurav, from your perspective?
Thanks, Suresh. I actually want to, I have another meeting. So, see, from my perspective, I would say, let me challenge the two keywords. You've heard my boss, talk about it, Tapan. So, what are the drivers that we are. Both digital and transformation are overused and abused words. Let me put it that way. In my role, not just we create, technology as a solution, but I also sell, because I run the digital channels as well. So I have to eat my own, so as to say, dog food. See, if you look at claims, we have overcomplicated the entire value chain of claims. Someone rightly said insurance, as a company, these are various buckets. Motor is a completely different animal than health, and corporate and commercial lines are a completely different animal. The way we have tried to solve the problem is start small, pick up a part of the value chain that you really can address at scale. Innovation at scale is very critical, because from an organization standpoint, doing it as a hobby and not just doing it at scale just kills the entire experience for all the stakeholders, including our customer. The other view that we have tried to keep in mind is the customer has to be at the center of the thing. often it is about, not about insurance companies. Now, on motor claim side, I got the, the latest Israeli deep learning startup, right? A tech startup, to be able to do that, the image recognition in real time. And it was a challenge. It was not easy, but that is known. I mean, we know that process, that is something that millions of images have to be gone through in real time. And finally, my claims adjuster has to, approve it, even though the machine is giving a response. But the real key of that maturing that process happened after that. How do I make the trust in those years of experience that people are there on the claims department, right? How do they start trusting the machine and bring back that feedback loop so that the entire the learning both the machine as well as the organization becomes at scale, can be expanded at scale. This is one experience. Look at the travel easy example that Tapan talked about. The only reason there it succeeded initially, and then we are continuing it, not for the kind of claims that it got in, but it's simply solved the trust problem. That before you even intimate a claim, and it was a very simple example. It was not tech at all. I wouldn't say it was even blockchain. We only used a smart contract with 3 different flight aggregator there. We being out there and just triggering the the backend claim. But the idea was the trust that we generated in the consumer base helped them trust us with more of their policies, and the cross sell upsell, which has been the holy grail of insurance, this thing automatically happened. Similarly, on the health claim side, we looked at the authorization authentication piece first, and then now we are looking at through our because we tried to attack the problem by saying, let's not put and I'll use a maybe a provocative statement, a lipstick on a pig. Don't try to change the front end when you know that have you got your house in order. So we looked at our core. Took it to a public cloud. Already a couple of products are out there, and what it helped us was there is something on an AWS environment which is called AWS Comprehend, or there are other components which are out of the box. Now here is where the hospital documents, which are in different formats, right, which we don't understand, right, it's not converting into an image but directly converting into data, and those elements getting into the decision making. So I'm very aware of the Aetna experience because of my Infosys back days, because Aetna is a big client, still a big client there. But the idea is these are the kind of interventions that we need to do as an organization, and that's what we are trying to do as an insurance company at scale, not just pay a tick mark at it. So that's my very quick thoughts, Suresh. Without
your experience at scale is yielding good results as you are implementing and executing your plans. I mean,
yes,
are you doing stock barrel? Are you doing it sequentially, or what's?
So when you look at the end result from a consumer standpoint, it has to be done together. But when you attack the problem within the organization, you have to do it in parts of the entire value chain by keeping the entire end experience in mind. This is what, and many of these we have been able to scale up. Are we at a level where we really want to be? Not yet, but many of these have started yielding results. I'll just take another example. This translates automatically into the product experience as well, right? Because the kind of products that are coming up based on this entire claims experience, what we saw during the Corona times, and then we are still there. What we saw is a first-time insurance buyer on my product on a PhonePe platform is now coming back. Whoever has experienced a claim is actually now coming back and buying an additional product. So claims is actually resulting in the customer, the first-time customer actually taking a second product. So that's where I would.
Thanks, Saurav. Thanks for your inputs. Thank you so much. And so I'll pass the same question to our claims, one of our claims expert, and basically, so Atul, your views. Where's Atul?
Hi, Suresh. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah,
and that's yeah.
You've heard
there is one
fraternity. You've heard the technology gurus. You've heard Tapan. You're the live guy on heading claims, and you know exactly what's happening on the traditional side. You know what's happening on the changes that has happened. So I think your views will matter quite significantly.
So I'll talk more on the ground realities. I'll talk more on how it has transformed in the last 2 decades, 20 years, whatever has happened. So as far as digital transformation is concerned, there are 3 stages to it. One is the technology being available. Second is adoption by the organization. Third one is the implementation part of it. Now, when we talk about the technology, was it available before pandemic? Yes, there is, most of those technologies was available. The organizations were adopting it. The organizations were in process of adopting it. But what has happened during pandemic, there are, when you implement any technology, there are different entities which are involved in implementing of technologies. We have insurance company, we have customers, we have workshop, we have surveyor, who all are part of this entire claim process. And what has happened during this pandemic is all of them have supported implementation of technology. We started video streaming in 2018, and then we used to visit the workshops, offer them different value adds to adopt the technology. But with pandemic, all of them supported, and implementation of some of this technology was very easy. So has pandemic supported the digital transformation? I would say 100%. And we have accelerated the growth by 2 to 3 years. What we would have achieved in the next 2 years or 3 years, we have achieved it this year itself. If I have to talk about customer experience, there was a time when, as Mr. Tapan Singhal has said, that there was a time when the customer had to go to the branch office, take the claim form, submit the documents, intimate the claim, and they will appoint the surveyor. This process itself will take 3 to 4 days, and the surveyor to visit another 1 or 2 days. Now, what has happened today? If I have to go back 10 years back, what has happened is, or maybe 15 years back, the 24/7 call center started. That was a big USP during those times, and that used to become an advertising point during those times. We have a 24/7 call center, and you can intimate the claims at any point of time. So from there on, we have moved on to WhatsApp. Now you can, with a single WhatsApp, you can intimate the claim to the insurance companies, and you can expect a call back, or the surveyors will call you and visit your, maybe physically visit your workshops, or they can just do a video streaming and do a claim survey. So from those periods, we have transformed digitally a lot. The customer experience has definitely improved. And next step, when we talk about the payments, I remember the days 20 years back when our finance authorities used to sign 400 and 500 checks every day, and then dispatch used to happen. There has been a change. There is NEFT which is happening. All entire claim the check processing has stopped. So there is a definitely transformation which has happened in the 20 years. And I'm sure what Tapan Singhal spoke about, the end point would also happen in the next 2 to 3 years. The car itself will tell you what is the extent of damage, from which angle the car has damaged, and there would be an automatic transfer of money to the customer's account. The way it is happening in travel, and it detects on its own the delay in flights. The technology is on the verge of evolving, and I'm sure we'll reach there. When we talk about all this, the customer experience improved? I'm sure, yes, it has improved. At the same time, is there anything which needs to be done? Is there anything which needs to be done by the organization? Now, claims is a moment of truth, and every organization is trying their bit to improve the customer experience. Then there are organizations who have launched express theft claim settlements, where they are settling the theft claims, which is unheard of, within 3 days. There are organizations which are providing overnight repair services. They have tie-ups with the workshops. They are providing overnight repair services. You see, in today's world, you don't have enough time to get the vehicle repaired. You can just give it in the evening and get it repaired next day morning. So there is definitely a lot which is happening on the customer experience part of it also. There are there are vehicles which are coming with inbuilt Bluetooth, the connected cars which we spoke about. It is just using of that technology and making use of technology, and then fast speeding the settlement of claim which is required. With obviously there is AI, which is is much talked about.
Next question.
Everyone is talking about.
Yeah, no. So AI is my third question. So no, Atul, thanks for your perspective. I think I can see the passion oozing out of you in terms of the various elements of the entire claim process, old versus new, and acknowledging the fact that there has been considerable changes, and also acknowledging the fact that technology will make a subtle difference or a substantial difference going forward. In the interest of time, I'm trying to rush through, so please bear with me. It's not that I can give everyone enough time to speak, but on the same point of claims, how are you viewing it, Surendra, from a Maruti's perspective, from an insurance broking perspective?
Yeah, Suresh. So I think this is something which is.
I'm trying to get everybody into the discussion, but please bear with me. My apologies if I'm not doing my job well.
No, you're doing fantastic. And I think this is something which is a very, very good topic, actually. And especially it's very close to my heart. And I think this is, I don't know whether I am the right person to comment on digitization of the claims or the technology into it. Like Kuldeep said, IoT technology, or we are talking about image recognition and all that. But before that, as from the user's viewpoint, I would just add one more dimension to what initially Anand said. He talked about operational aspect. He talked about strategic aspect. What I would like to do is I would like to add another aspect, which is called intention. Today, after the pandemic, for digitization, if we talk about, the customer is very happy to receive and very happy to cooperate, participate in digitization. Because there is a compulsion, they are not allowed to go out of the house, or there are limitations, so they have to, by force, they have to. Similarly, the insurance companies are also having the similar constraints, and they are also trying to look out for creating pockets of excellence in reducing a turnaround time. And the technology is coming forward, and probably they are also in that mode. And therefore, when both the ends are, together, probably things will happen. And there are people enough around who are, experts in technology, and we have got the global support everywhere, and we would be able to make it happen in times to come. But I think before that, I think a very big aspect is, and probably industry needs to really look at it in a different way. And that way is when a claim comes, like what Tapanji said at night, 2 o'clock, whether you cross the toll plaza or whatever, where you have that receipt of the toll and all that, probably somewhere we need to really trust the customer in a different way altogether. And the industry needs to, improve upon the idea of how to approach the claim from the point of view of how to settle the claim, rather than saying how not to settle the claim, rather than finding out that what was wrong. Whether you fitted a CNG, for example, in the vehicle, it was not declared, it was not put in the policy, and therefore you have defaulted on declaring material facts, and therefore the claim is not there. So many aspects come like that. And I think that is one area probably where we really need to move, and we need to trust the customer, and we need to have all our approach towards how do we settle the claim. On digitization, yes, the changes have actually come in a big way. Just to give you an example, before the COVID times and after the COVID times, whatever business we transact on our website, that is necessarily the sales of policy, there is an increase of 3.5 to 4 times. Can you? I mean, and the good part of it is that the customers who got used to it, they are still continuing with the same, though the COVID is not over yet. But for a while, in between, say for 6 months or so, we Indians thought that COVID is over and we were back to our normal routines and all that. But in that period also, we see that those customers are still coming to the website for doing the things digitally. So the customer is all set, all ready. Provided we create an interface which is as intuitive and as addictive as Amazon, where when the customer comes to transact, its speed is, the customer wants to think that the speed of now, actually. The speed is good, there are no hiccups. If we can create that kind of interface, probably both the sides are quite set to receive it, and the digital will grow. And I'm sure the industry is taking cognizance of that, and they are moving around that, and we all are supporting that in a big way. In fact, what person from Chola, I think Abhinav, he said that, Anubhav, yeah, he said that the OCR technology. So there is a limitation on OCR technology, yes, but we can actually create something around that. Like we have started giving the complete data of the invoices, as he mentioned about, digitally to the insurance companies, so that there are no errors. And if we really cooperate in a big way, we can eliminate such things without much of hassles and all, and thereby we can deliver. So I think it is the right time when the customer is ready. It is the right time when the service industry is ready, and we really need to set the intent right, and we are all set to take off. So I'll pause my point here.
Well said, Surinder. This is a classic example of a customer of an insurance company putting enough and more pressure to tell the insurance company, hey, I can give you lots of premium, but get your act right. More Absolutely. So from the perspective of claims and trust. And Absolutely. A company like yours, which does lots of premium, I can understand where you're coming from. So very well said. Quick point, Kunal, and then I'll go to the last question. Quickly, if you can, Kunal, I'm sorry, it's not that I don't want to give you time, but if you can just keep, anything that you would like to add to what is already being said.
Yeah. So I'll add to what Atul sir said. Actually, the pandemic has actually elevated the propensity of everyone in the system. So I'm a workshop player, right? Getting all the workshop partners to adopt on a product is something which used to take a lot of coaxing and caressing before the pandemic hit. But with the contactless nature of services, everything broadened up. Even these workshops, they started adapting that product. So all the key players, or maybe the stakeholders of the claims journey, like the insurance company, the customer, the workshops, as well as the surveyors and the spare part providers, everyone has come on board with accepting digital transformation as something as a way to move forward, right? But the transformation has to begin from the customer's end. This is what I personally feel. Especially because when the onset of claims journey, or FNOL as we like to call it, that is where the soft spot lies. But educating the customers to intimate the claim directly to an insurance company and not directly take their vehicles to a workshop is something which might not work in a country like India, because we have seen how educating these customers will take a lot of time. So with the sandbox regulatory in discussion for almost 2 years now, what the Indian insurers need is an FNOL device, digitally induced FNOL, along with the OBD devices. This is something that I personally feel. So and this is something that we've developed also. Our 50-member tech team has worked for the past 15 months in developing an FNOL device which can give you the coordinates of the accident along with the severity gradient in 2 minutes. Apart from that, what we have done in the past 2 years, and especially from the workshop perspective, is putting everything on tech. So the entire process, right from picking up the car, where the customer can track the driver like you do it on Swiggy, like you track your food on Swiggy, to getting all these updates on the 15 checkpoints of the insurance journey. Has the surveyor arrived? The claim has been rejected, or what is the estimate that has been approved? Things like that. Has the RI been done? All these estimates are now being all these notifications are now being sent on WhatsApp. To even till the feedback management, everything is now happening in a complete tech first manner. But something that us as a workshop player are now focusing on is using AI to put the estimates, do the image recognition of the damaged vehicles and getting the estimates in place, and that is something that we have also developed, and we are working with a few insurers. So very soon you will see, especially this impact sensing tech that I was talking about, and these AI estimates. Go Mechanic is going to go ahead with this.
So you'll hear some interesting aspects on AI in the next question, and possibly some answers to your solutions in terms of getting real-time estimates and so on and so forth. So that concludes our second round of questions on claims, and I hope most of you got a clear perspective of the changes that are happening and how technology is being brought in and embraced in terms of making not just the customer experience, but also the entire process of making the entire transactions that much more simpler. Now I come to the final session, and the final session is on the third question, which is basically the role of AI in claims transformation and what are the expectations from AI solutions providers. Whilst we will get a detailed perspective from Raj, I would like to first ask Amit and his views in terms of where does he see the role of AI in claims transformation and what are some of the expectations. So I'll request Amit to start, and then I'll also ask Anubhav to give some inputs as far as this is concerned, because he has some experience in terms of leveraging some of the work that is being done. And finally, I'll ask Raj. I'm not too sure if Seema is there. On Seema from IFCO Tokyo. Are you there, Seema?
She logged out, Suresh. She
Okay,
had
fine.
an emergency, so she had to log out.
Okay, fine. So Amit, quickly, if you can give your perspective, and then we'll get Anubhav to say a few words, and then we'll leave it to you, Raj, in terms of then taking us through since Raj has done a lot of work, so it's good to hear Raj finally. Yeah, Amit.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh. I think it was very, very interesting listening to all the speakers so far. And before I come to use of AI in claim settlement, I just want to take cues from Mr. Sengal's initial speech, where he talked about trusting and not trusting, and this is something which I think Mr. Surendra Srivastava also referred in his speech, that trust and intention are the two most important thing. And I just want to give an example, and I'm very staunch believer in stock market, talking about that how companies are adopting digital transformation, trusting customers, another thing. Yesterday, I was reading an article where they talked about how last 100 years, and that article was a dated one from 1917 to 2017. And they talked about some of the companies which we often, quoted, used and abused names, all this AT&T, US Steel, Bethlehem Steel, and I'm sure, some of you will remember those names in 1917. Those companies are nowhere to be seen. And they talked about in 2017 that, companies like Amazon, Microsoft, all these companies have come in. One of the oil company which is still there is Exxon Mobil in that list. And today morning, and I'm sure all of you must be using InShorts, which is a very beautiful app for reading news for 2 minutes. And if you read today's InShorts, they talk about tech giants, and see the valuation change between 2017 to 2021 on Amazon and Microsoft. They were in the range of $400 and $500 billion that point of time. In the last 4 years, both these companies have tripled their market cap. So from 500 to 1.5 trillion, and from 600 to 1.8 trillion for Microsoft. And if you look at our own insurance, company which we admire, all of us admire, which is the company, Berkshire Hathaway, their valuation increased from $450 billion to $620 billion, which is close to about 37-38%. And if you look at CAGR, it's about 8 to 9% CAGR. And I think that's the pace at which insurance companies have also changed in their digital transformation. I think Anand in the beginning talked about operational digital transformation, and which is what we have been doing since last 8-10 years, all insurance companies. And I was part of a large insurance company prior to Magma HDI. We were also doing incremental innovation and incremental digitization and everything. Thankfully, in the last 1 year, the COVID has accelerated that journey. And that's where the AI is coming much faster, will come much faster than what we believe it will be. And I'll give you some examples of the acceleration. And I always talk about in our company, we used to talk about that what we were supposed to achieve in the next 4 years. In these COVID times, we have achieved that transformation in just 4 months. So that's the kind of suppression of time it has COVID has done. And one of my panelists talked about that how digital adoption of claims processes. So we always so as an insurance company or insurance industry, we always used to push for digitization for the consumer, for the agents, but the take-up rate was much much lesser from that fraternity, that side of the table, which has increased tremendously 4 years to 4 months kind of. If customers are adopting, agents are adopting, I think the next phase of growth, and whether you like it or not, will come from further adoption of technology, and which is where the role of AI will come into the place. So I think company will, whether they like it or not, they will have to, the winners of tomorrow will be those companies who are able to break this traditional equation. We all come from old school of thought that risk is inversely proportional to control. If you have more control, less will be the risk, and if you have less control, more will be the risk. And I come from risk background. I think, but we'll have to break this equation. Risk is inversely proportional to control. We'll have to do both these things at the same time. So risk and control will have to go together, and they will have to be directly proportional to business. What I mean to say is that, let's say, if you have to assess a car while insuring the car, that self-inspection, self pre-inspection, it will have to give result at the same time. We cannot wait that you will take the photograph, the photographs will come to the insurance company, will assess and then respond. So that control aspect will have to be expedited. And the only way I can see that control aspect to be expedited is with the help of AI. So risk will have to control, will have to speeden up the entire thing. And the same time, we'll have to give that decision. And that's where the role of AI will come. And I think Raj is also here. One of the example which we saw and which we are experimenting within the company, in 30 seconds after a claim, you take all the photographs, 32 seconds to be precise. If you take all the photographs, it will throw you a value that this is the value of your damaged car. I think that's where we'll have to move, and only AI can help us in moving into that customer expectation. Mr. Singhal talked about, customer expectation are completely changing. I think in just 5 years, we cannot, it's unimaginable how the customer expectation has changed. And Amazon, Ubers of the world, and they're starting, what Mr. Srivastav talked about is very, very true, that they're starting with the belief that customer is right, and we have to check other things just to rule out that he is not right. In insurance industry, we just do the opposite. We say the customer is wrong, and we don't trust the customer, and then rule out those possibilities to prove him that he is an innocent customer. That equation will have to, many of the equations will have to change. That risk and control are not inversely proportional. Speed and business go together. Starting trusting the customer, intention to pay, that's where I would slightly differ with Mr. Srivastav, that it's not that insurance companies don't want to pay the claim. They do want to pay the claim. It's just that they want to rule out that fraudulent elements from the claim, because it's not just business ownership, it's also the moral responsibility. Because if we start paying fraudulent claims, it will be unnecessarily will be penalizing the other customers where the premium will increase. So I think
I'll have to slightly cut you. Can you wrap up your? Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's what my last point was there. That we'll have to break this traditional myths, and I think AI can help us in breaking these traditional equations.
No. What I liked from what you said is speed. Let's start taking business decisions and balance risk with control. Don't be overtly risk and don't have overt control. And I think technology is all about enabling that to happen. Obviously compounded with trust. Yeah. Anubhav, I'll just give you a minute, your views before I pass it on to Raj. I'm sorry, I'm giving you just a minute, Anubhav, because you have the capability of condensing your quick views on AI, and we'll let Raj do all the neural network talking and image analysis and stuff like that, predictive analysis. We'll let Raj speak about that.
Sure. So I'll make it very, very concise, Suresh, as you rightly said. So I think from my perspective, two things. There is no one who can be shy of saying that AI is going to be the future. The entire platform of future organizations, entire digital journey as well as growth is going to rest a lot on capabilities to comprehend, analyze, take decisions. So that is where AI, machine learning, all these technologies come in. I think from my perspective, having dealt with this area for the last 2 or 3 years in my previous stint as well as in my current organization, one thing I would like to say is that it is very easy to embark on an AI project. But the success and failure depends on two things. All organizations will have data. There are excellent number of data scientists available who can curate the data and build AI models around it. I think what is going to be critical is to look at the entire use case end to end, think of the entirety and identify the benefits. And the second critical aspect is, I'm specifically talking in context of motor claims, which was the starting point of this discussion. It is easy to create an AI model for certain models, The key lies in how fast an organization will be able to scale it up. Because the rate of change of introduction of new models or changes to existing models is going to be much faster. So you have to have a technology partner and an AI model which is capable of taking those changes in a very, very quick manner. So I think those are the very, very sharp points from my side, given the time constraint, and I hope it addresses the context.
You hit the nail on the head. I think people understand AI. It's just that, the precise nature of what can happen is probably what you've highlighted well. Raj, all yours.
Right. So I think, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. And I have heard a lot of good insight from all the experts from the claims, right? And as Anubhav and Amit have nailed it, a couple of things that even Tapan have mentioned, right? What the industry is looking for, the overall claims industry, is obviously it is looking for, how do they, bring more efficiency, more ROI, and best digital experience to the customer, right? At the same time, the one word that I like that Tapan had mentioned is the hyper speed, right? And that's what the frictionless, right? That's the most important aspect of bringing AI into the mix. The whole vision of Claim Genius itself is about touchless claims making a reality, right? And that's where we are working on. Now, how do we bring AI into the mix, right? It starts all the ecosystem. It's not only the claims. Right now, it starts from the underwriting, automating the underwriting, all the way from there to the claim settlement. And in between, you get the fraud analysis, the accident recreation, and all that. Getting the telematics diagnostic data to get more and more insight about your claim assessment. And I think that's where the entire AI gamut comes into the picture. The another important aspect, which is the most important, I would say, is the distrust that that Tapan and many of the other panelists have used. Unless and until we can give that transparency to the customers, right, they will always have that distrust, right? What's the insurance company is doing? And I think AI is bringing a lot of that transparency, giving that power to the customer's hand itself, because the whole journey starts with customer, right? The data acquisition and their experience to start the claim process, that is what it starts, and the claim settlement where it ends, right? So now, how Claim Genius is basically bringing and addressing all of these aspects, right? It is basically taking the real-time pictures, and you would quickly see the demo as well. But all the image recognitions, right within a matter of 30 seconds, that Amit was mentioning, how can you identify all the different parts? How do you identify the damage classifications? How do you bring that a fast speed recommendations on what is happened to your car, how much it is going to cost, right? That's the kind of an real-time experience that AI needs to bring in, and that's what we are doing. We are even sorry.
Can you if you can come.
I'll just I'll just summarize it in a minute. So basically, by bringing all these image recognitions, video recognitions, not in other words, I would say mimicking the whole assessment process or the inspection process, and coming up with that real-time estimate is the key aspect of the technology that the AI is bringing in, right? And that's where basically we are doing some of the work, as Anubhav had mentioned, Amit have mentioned, and some of the other speakers have also mentioned. So there is no doubt that AI is the only way going forward. Of course, we have to basically, it's a journey. So we have to go in a very right expectations. We have to start small and then scale it up, as Saurav was also saying. So I think that's what my perspective from the AI standpoint, and how we are basically transforming and bringing the innovation to the space.
No, but thank you very much, Raj. I wish we had lots of time. We could go on and on. May I now request Anand to kind of, if you can, Anand, are you there? And Anand, yeah,
very much, Suresh. Yeah.
Sorry, so Anand, no, so we, so I just want to give the attention back to you, Anand, because you do a lot of work on the IT space. You work with a lot of partners and so on and so forth. It'll be interesting, quickly to kind of, quickly your quick views on artificial intelligence, and probably you would like to introduce something so that people have a quick view of what Quess is all about, and at one level, and what some of the stuff that you do. Anu.
Sure. So in the interest of time, I'll keep it short, Suresh, because I think we're already ahead of, we've exceeded the time. So from a Quess GTS standpoint, we've been in the insurance industry for the last 20 plus years, and predominantly in the US in the PNC space. And we obviously understand the space extremely well, and we've been working with the who's who in the insurance industry, like Crum & Forster, Hudson, and Munich Re and Odyssey Re, and all of these large insurance companies. And as I was saying in the beginning, I think the time is absolutely right to look at strategic initiatives from an insurance standpoint, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So from an India standpoint, we believe that there's a lot that technology can accomplish, and I think to a large extent, even the regulators today are looking favorably at technology, particularly with COVID. And as we've seen a lot of esteemed speakers talk about it, I think there's a lot of work happening. There's a lot of interest, and as Surendra said, there's a lot of, we also need to show intent, right? So keeping this in mind, we actually tied up with Claim Genius. So Raj and his team, we felt were doing some really path-breaking work in this space. And given the fact that everything needs to be frictionless today, and time is measured in seconds rather than minutes or hours, I think this was a partnership that was waiting to happen, and we had a meeting of minds, more importantly than just companies, and that's where we brought in Claim Genius, and I think we have a great product to build on the frictionless world from a claims processing perspective. So I will request Raj or Rishabh to quickly run through the product, maybe in 5 to 7 minutes, and with that we could probably see what next. But I think it's a product that is waiting to explode in the Indian insurance claims landscape. Suresh.
No, I've had a look at, for the interest of everyone, this is basically in line with the topic to kind of give you a glimpse of what AI, what technology can actually bring to the table. And I felt it was important to kind of at least showcase. And so please view it from that perspective. Thank you so much, Anand. So please.
So yeah, thank you, Suresh, and thank you, Anand. I'm just going to quickly demonstrate in a very quick manner in terms of how the product looks, what AI is going to do, how it is shaping the future. Also looking at it from the customer standpoint of view, efficiency, continuity, fraudulent analytics, all these aspects not combined into one simple product. Having an image coming into us or into the product, or whether it be a video, all can be concise into a simple way of just pushing the data to the system and getting the output on the go. This all happens in rather than hours to days, it just happens in minutes. So there's a quick assessment of claims which I wanted to show. You would have a vehicle which would have been damaged, severely damaged like this, where you would actually have to send an individual to actually go to the garage, or you would do a live video streaming. Not a challenge. Both can be tackled. You can just take the images or send the video, and everything can be looked into. If you see over here, it identifies all the damages, tears, the dents which are there on the vehicle, and also at the same point of time, the damages which are there on the glass parts. This way, it basically looks at the complete car, understands where the damages are and what needs to be done, and then gives you an assessment, as you can see over here. But that's not what we only do. This is only the external parts, right? What about the internal parts? I can see that there are multiple parts which are damaged in the inside of the vehicle. Well, we also give you recommendations on those sides, saying that, okay, these are the parts which are probably damaged. These are some auxiliary parts which come along with the fender. You can see over here. You can see over here a list of other parts which also come along with the door. These are all internal parts and auxiliary parts which you look at. Oh, I do not know, where can I see the engine cover? Yes, it is below the vehicle. But the AI knows that looking at the intensity and severity of the damage, it would be damaged. So this is how we are actually not only transforming the overall external perspective of claims, where previously AI was looked upon as an external perspective, small damage recognition tool, but this is now involved and evoked into an all aspect, all around claim, starting from a minor claim to a total loss claim. That's where the technology has evolved towards, and that's where we are also heading towards. This is the video, the images side. What about a video? Yeah, we can do that on the video. I'm just giving you an example of a video. Let me know if you see the same. So you can just take a simple 360-degree video. You can ask the customer to just walk around his car, which would take around 10 seconds. He can do that. And that's about it. He needs to do that. And the system would look at all the damages from the vehicle, know where the damages are, and then give you an assessment on the same. That's how quick the system works, and that's how the AI technology has completely transformed. All to you, Suresh. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, we had to cover a lot of ground, so we went a little overboard, but it was worth the effort in terms of listening to all the views. I hope at the end of it all, one got a glimpse of transformation, one got a glimpse of claims and what is happening in the insurance industry, and one also got a glimpse of where is AI and what are some of the tools. That the last demo was possibly an indication of what are the solutions available in the marketplace, and which was brought to you by both Claims Genius and Tech. So the point that I'm trying to drive is that there is a lot of transformation that's happening in the digital industry. Thank you so much for all the views that you've expressed and sharing your experiences. Look forward to many more engagements with all of you again and again. Maybe we'll have a different topic next time, but thank you so much for taking the time. Thanks for contributing your views. Have a good day and have a great weekend. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Suresh,
you, everyone.
Thank
you.
Thanks for a wonderful evening, Suresh. Yeah,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Suresh.
All right, thank you,
Bye-bye.
Suresh. Thank you.